94.3 The Dude is very grateful to our men and women in uniform. We're proud to recognize local members of our military by turning the spotlight on them right now in our Soldier Salute.
I'm your host, Sergeant First Class Retired Don Sorensen, and on today's Soldier Salute, we're speaking with United States Marine Corps veteran Ashley Ross. Ashley, tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm 23. I graduated from Spring Valley High School in 2014. I lived in Columbia, South Carolina my whole life. I'm in a family of 4. My brother's my best friend. I have a puppy named Candy. I adopted her from Westcott Acres. I joined the military right out of high school. I went to Parris Island in September 2014. I graduated in January 2015 and went to MCT in North Carolina. MCT is Marine Combat Training. That's where they train us to do all the grunt work that people who do infantry do. So they try to train each Marine just in case we have to go somewhere, we know how to fight. And then from there, I went to Beaufort, South Carolina, was my first duty station. And then I deployed to Japan. I was there for 6 months, and the food is great. It was my first time out of the United States. I was only 20, and I had a blast. I met a whole bunch of people. It was just so much fun. And now, being back in South Carolina, I go to church at North Columbia Church of God in Blythewood. I'm a member of the praise team. I work at Westcott Acres, where I adopted my puppy from. I've worked there since September. It's a great place, especially if you love all kinds of animals. We get goats sometimes, pigs, but mainly dogs and cats.
Ashley, a lot of the listeners out here are probably a lot more familiar with what the Army does as far as training than what the Marine Corps goes through. You know, my wife and my daughter both went through Army Basic and then Army Advanced Individual Training, and it was really different than what my experiences in the Marine Corps were. But, you know, hey, that was almost 30-something years ago for me. What is Marine Corps Advanced Training like now?
Well, before we even get to our school, we have to go through MCT, and that is Marine Combat Training. And after that, we finally get to know what school we go to. Like for me, I went to Aviation Supply School in Mississippi, and there they still treated us like we were in boot camp. I recall one person said, "You're still pooping out child boxes." So they still treated us like we were in boot camp. They said that you're not a true Marine until you hit the fleet. So since then, just learning all these different things, and then when you finally get to the fleet, it's just a new deer, like a baby deer out there into the real world, and you're used to being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So then when you get to the fleet, it's just so hard because no one's telling you what to do, how to think, what to think. So it's just like a new experience out in the real world.
Ashley, I think it's so awesome that not only were you MALS 31 or Marine Aviation Logistics Squadron 31 in Beaufort, same as me, but from there you went to Iwakuni, Japan, same as me. That's just awesome. So many young people these days, it seems like they never really have the opportunity to even leave their hometown, and you've been halfway around the world. Tell me about your impressions of Iwakuni.
When I went to Japan, it was a culture shock. They drove on the wrong side of the road, which it freaked me out. And then there's like, that's how they drive. So then when I came back, I was like, they're driving on the wrong side of the road. But in Japan, if anyone can go, I recommend going to Japan. The food is so good. Sushi, ramen, it's just amazing. Even McDonald's is totally different than from here. They have like this melon soda, which was amazing. First time I went to McDonald's, I was like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to get. They didn't have what I was going to get. So I had to learn all these new things. I learned a little bit of Japanese while I was there. I learned how to say thank you, which is arigato gozaimasu. And it was just amazing. I love Japan. And then in Japan, that's where military sexual trauma happened. And even in then, I had so much love and support there.
Ashley, all of my memories of my military service are just some of the most wonderful memories that I'll ever have. But I didn't go through MST or military sexual trauma. I can't imagine a worse betrayal from my fellow servicemen. Tell me about that experience.
Well, I was sexually assaulted in Japan, and it's the most horrible thing ever, especially because it's your brother and you're supposed to look after each other and protect each other, but that was the complete opposite for me. And then ever since then, I just had a bad taste in my mouth. But I had so much love and support helping me out. And it's something that sticks with you for the rest of your life. Like, it's never going to go away. A lot of people don't know, but it happens a lot in the military. Like, a lot of females, even guys, get sexually assaulted in the military. And it's just not a military thing. I know even being out, like, a lot of people still get sexually assaulted. So I think the main thing, if it's in the military or not, you always need to get help. And it's the hardest thing is reaching out to other people, because you don't want anyone to know. But it's just, you have to share. You have to let someone know, because if not, it's going to drive you crazy.
Ashley, in your instance, was it someone that you knew that assaulted you?
Yes, it was my corporal at the time. It was her best friend. And I've grown to know him, and we were really close. And then it happened to me while I was sleeping. So it's just, still to this day, it's hard to go to sleep. But I know I have people to call on.
Ashley, as you were saying, not just MST or military sexual trauma, but sexual assault can happen in college campuses, high schools, the workplace. But we've got a lot of young people getting ready to leave Fort Jackson and go out into the fleet, as the Marine Corps called it, for the first time. What are some things that they could do to maybe be more aware or to help prevent something like this from happening?
Well, always have a battle buddy, which it can be anybody from your best friend, a coworker if you're a civilian, just someone that you can depend on no matter what. And with that, you always have to be aware. So if you're going to drink responsibly, because that was what happened to me. I wasn't responsible with that. So that is how I ended up in this situation. And also, I didn't have a battle buddy. So now that I know that, I always go out with someone that is going to be aware if I'm not aware. Someone that's going to have their head on a swivel, you might say.
Ashley, the night that this happened, were there any signs or signals that this kind of trouble might be coming your way?
Well, there wasn't. And that's what happens to a lot of people. That's why sexual assault is so big, because sometimes there aren't any signs at all. And it just, you think everything's going good, and then all of a sudden you get sexually assaulted. Sometimes there's no warning signs at all. So you're completely oblivious. Most likely it's not going to be someone that you just met that day. It's going to be someone who knows you.
Ashley, first of all, thank you so much for having the courage to come onto the show today and talk about this. You know, I've tried to use the show to help with things like post-traumatic stress disorder, and when I heard about MST, I was kind of blown away. And I probably have friends from my Marine Corps years that had gone through it and just never had the courage to talk about it. And I imagine that is just the first step in being able to cope with MST.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of people don't do is report it. And that's the main thing that you have to do, because you're not going to get any justice if you don't. And even though that is the hardest thing I've ever done, was telling somebody. The first person I told was my best friend. And then she was the one that told duty. And then from there, I had to go through medical and all this other stuff. But I couldn't have gone through that if I didn't have friends and family holding my hand, making sure I was okay. Even now, I have friends that be like, "Hey, are you doing okay today?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing okay." And with that, therapy. Without therapy, I don't know where I would be. Also, with sexual assault, a lot of suicide rates go up. I attempted, but without my family, I don't know where I would be to this day. I go to the Big Red Barn for group, and hearing all these other stories about other military members that had the same thing that I had, it helps a lot, especially because with me being so young, I don't hear a lot of people sharing MST. And knowing that these older people went through it, it's like, oh wow, I'm not the only female that's gone through it.
Ashley, you are so strong. You are such a strong person. And you stood up and you said, I am not going to let MST whip me. You've got great future plans. Tell me what's next for Ashley.
Well, right now I'm working at Westcott Acres Luxury Pet Resort and Rescue in Irmo, and that's where I actually adopted my dog from from there, I discovered my love for animals. So I'm going to go to Midlands Tech so I can be a veterinarian. The next place for that, I have to go to Clemson University, go Tigers. I myself am a Gamecocks fan, but I might convert to Clemson. But I'm really into church.
So your faith has kind of helped a lot with this too.
Yes, my faith is big. Being a Christian and knowing that everything happens for a reason, even the stuff that you still, like to this day, I still don't know why. But now, sharing my story, I now know what I was supposed to do. I'm supposed to let others know that, hey, it shouldn't just stop you in your tracks. You need to keep going because that's the only way you're going to get back, is just don't let it stop you. Well, being a preacher's kid, you kind of have to act a certain way and be this bright person. You can't let things get you down. I always have a smile on my face and just showing my love for God. And it's just, that helps people a lot no matter what they're going through. You just smile and tell them it's going to be okay, and that's how you can make a difference. The best way to get your revenge is to do great things.
Thanks for joining us in our Soldier Salute, presented by Little Pigs Barbecue, serving Columbia since 1963 with that bodacious buffet, and by Lexington Guns and Shooting Range, veteran owned and operated.